is there a difference between a Shakti transmission and Shaktipat? Some people will tell you there is. Shaktipat means a touch of Shakti, a touch of energy. Shakti transmission means energy transmission. However, to really understand this, we have to define Shakti. We have different levels of energy. We can define different levels of energy. I found up to 18 different levels of definition. For me, I try to make this very simple for people. There are 4 levels of connection. Obviously, within each level, there are different levels. So level 1, we have the prana, we have the chi. Within the levels of prana and chi, we have Reiki. We can have some very powerful Reiki masters, and we can have people that play with feathers and crystals and blow smoke at you. Yeah, it is what it is. Then we have, for example, people that do Kundalini activation, which is not Kundalini energy. It is pranic energy. It's very clear that it's pranic energy. It flows through the body. It clears things. Don't get me wrong, still great stuff. But so that is a pranic energy transmission, not a Shakti transmission. Then we have what I like to call a Tantric energy. Now, if we go to the original texts, Kundalini is a Tantric energy. Totally correct. This is why I specify saying Tantric energy is the sacred sexual energy. Now, sacred sexual energy, we can, if we wish to, connect it to Neo-Tantra, but we can also connect it to many Tantric Taoist techniques, many more advanced classical Tantric techniques. It is there. It is a sensual energy. We must also understand that there are 3, this is where it gets a little bit complex. There are 3 forms of Shakti. One is prana, one is the sensual energy, and one is the Kundalini energy. And this is where people get confused because they use different names and different systems for different things. But prana is prana, that sensual energy is that sensual energy. And then we have Kundalini Shakti. So if we wanted to be very specific, we could say Pranic Shakti, Tantric Shakti, Kundalini Shakti. Just as though there are many types of prana. There are the 5 pranas, right? But this, unfortunately, in the West leads to misinterpretation because, well, if this is Shakti and this is Shakti, I'm going to, even though I do this Shakti, I'm going to insinuate that I do this type of Shakti when I'm only actually doing this Shakti. Or I think I'm doing this Shakti when I'm only doing this Shakti. Oh, what a mess. So if we talk about Shakti as in Kundalini Shakti, someone who offers a Shakti transmission could be offering you a pranic transmission, could be offering you a tantric sensual sexual energy transmission, and they could be offering you working with Kundalini to connect and have that Kundalini awakening. Which after that Kundalini awakening happens, when grace has descended, that is when we get to the 4th, because I said there are 4, when we have that Shakti Shiva connection, and it's what we can call the light body. Be very careful because there are many people who sell, again, light body activation, and they have no idea what that means. There's a famous idea about the Merkaba and the light body. Now, that in its true sense, yes, it's another way to get there. But at the end of the day, it's doing the same thing, just through a slightly different system. You still need to raise Shakti to activate the Merkaba because it's the light body. You still need to have that descent of grace, the connection to consciousness, to fully understand the Merkaba. But just as there are people who say dreams are astral projection, unfortunately in the world, so much disinformation these days, people misunderstanding, misrepresenting things through ignorance, through ego, through many reasons. It doesn't matter. So is Shaktipat a Shakti transmission? If we want to talk about true Shaktipat actually entails two things. It is a touch of Shakti, Shaktipat, and a touch of Shiva, Shivapat. Where Kundalini, awakening, is the combination of the two. The rising of Shakti in the spine, that cosmic energy coiled at the base. It is Shakti coiled 3 times around the linga of Shiva. We can also relate this to the Jed pillar in the Egyptian terminologies. And we can see in the Egyptian, we see it very often. We have the Kundal bowl with the Was staff, the Ankh, and the Jed pillar with a snake or the energy over the top. This is where we can see that this is very much an ancient Egyptian practice, just as much as we can say this is a Hindu practice. It's very clear to see. Yet, so if we really truly wish to talk about Shaktipat, the way it is shown in scriptures, which is talking about not only the raising of the Kundalini, but the connection to consciousness and the bringing of down, then what some people say is a Shakti transmission is, of course, not a Shakti transmission. It's simply a transmission of pranic energy, Reiki. It's that simple. So technically, a Shakti transmission will help people raise Kundalini Shakti to a certain point. Shaktipat will do the same, plus connect you to Shiva to bring down that divine grace, that consciousness. This is beyond random visions. This is beyond LSD trips, ayahuasca sessions, way beyond. So how do we know what is Shiva? A connection to Shiva? Well, because everybody has, when they get to that point, a similar experience. What is that experience? Well, you don't talk about, or at least I do not talk about what that experience is. Because if I talk about what that experience is, through your imagination, you can create this experience and fool yourself into the fact that you've had it. If you don't know what it is, and then you have it, and then you can compare it to other people who have connected to consciousness, if you can find them, and you share the experiences they had and you had. Was granted, the fine details might change depending on your personal programming, depending on the culture you've grown up in, and everything is filtered and given to you in ways that you can comprehend it easily. Shiva is consciousness. It's going to work in certain ways. It's still going to be filtered. But the main aspect here, the main things that happen, are going to be the same. It doesn't matter whether you did this by yourself after 50 years of yoga, or 50 years of breath work or pranayamas. You sought out an energy master, a guru, different ones. That experience, that passage will be very similar to the other people. So the simple answer is Shaktipat a Shakti transmission? It should be. It should be the same. But unfortunately, given so much disinformation over such a long period of time and so many different cultures, you cannot guarantee it is until you meet a true guru that has been through the experience, that knows not just the theory of it and they've had the experience themselves, but also knows how to transmit that awakening experience. Because some people can have it. If you do yoga for however many times, you can get to the experience and have this completely. That doesn't mean to say you will have the ability to pass it to someone else. So that is as clear as one can get with this.